Hey everybody, welcome to another exciting episode of Attack on Productions. And I've got Bancroft here today to talk about some updates and changes coming to the channel.
And by changes and updates, it's more or less kind of going over the new approaches, which we'll be
Yeah.
kind of going into. Essentially, like this one, it's kind of be more of a, hopefully in the long run, maybe more of just kind of getting to know us as the AOP crew as we talk about either the card game itself or just in other subjects that come up. Kind of doing a little minor podcast like stuff with updates for the week. In this case, maybe giving you all a heads up what's coming down the road. So, like for example, this week we are for sure gonna have Bardock's Crew versus 7Ku, a Sin versus PyCon, and Turtles versus 8Ku as well, which I'm super excited for all those. I was able to get a variety of decks this week on the channel instead of just getting Gogeta, or something like that. We did have 2 Gogeta players this week though, so that was fun.
Yeah, it was a really wild locals. And I'm sure we'll get into that more here in a minute.
And then we are for sure, I'm not sure if all 4 will be this week, but we do have recorded, we'll have Bardock's Crew recorded, 7Ku, PyCon, and Turtle School as well, which is fantastic. And I know next week we'll have Piccolo, the yellow Piccolos from Superheroes, and we'll have a Halo Crew next week as well.
Ooh, and I'm not quite sure what I'm going to be doing next week, but there's a chance I bring something kind of spicy too. So
nice.
We'll see what happens.
So, kind of go over our locals this past week. We had one Halo Crew could get on the channel. Did you play against it by any chance? It was Adam's build.
No, I did watch a game. Like I kind of spectated a little bit, and I was like interested with what I saw. And he let me like look through the deck. I think before the event, and we were just like talking, and I was interested with what I see with Adam. He's a player kind of like Trevor, where he never builds a deck in a straight line. There's always something really sick and spicy included in his list. So next week when that one rolls around, it'll be interesting to see what's going on with that.
Yeah, he's always surprised me stuff in the past with like he had a black, blue, green Raditz one time. He had a what was it? SS4, but he played it with the Janemba engine as well.
Yes, it was a SS4 with the aggressive Janemba chain. And then he has like a Black Boo with the Space Cop engine, and just like Adam's always building something spicy.
Yeah. And you know what? I'm just gonna do a little curveball. I wasn't expecting this. What's up, Jimmy?
Shit, I didn't realize what chat this was.
This is the hidden chat. Yes.
I just hit my hotkey to join whatever chat had people in it. Shit, what up, boys?
We're talking about this past locals about giving things away, and I've kind of already relayed what people can expect on camera this week, which is fantastic. Any input of what you saw this past weekend that was exciting?
The fucking PyCon?
Yeah,
it's just crazy. Who's playing that?
Trevor was playing that one this weekend.
You're not supposed to spoil it. I thought we were not.
I'm not spoiling any
outcomes of camera games. I think we're gonna get a little bit into off-camera games. I'm not sure if that's part of this video or not, but yeah, but we're just not gonna spoil results of camera games or like go too deeply into deck lists that are gonna be profiled.
Get more of our personalities more than just us kind of like playing the game itself. And sometimes we can just talk about Dragon Ball, where it's at in the state of like what we feel like, or it can be like talking about the newest shit that came out, you know, that we all enjoy.
I don't play this Dragon Ball game you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about.
I know you don't, Jimmy, but that's the point. Like, it's other things than just Dragon Ball.
Well, what is there other than Dragon Ball?
Is Jimmy not playing like an ARG? Is that just like something I'm not privy to? Does I feel like I don't know, he's just been like dropping hints throughout the channel's history.
Who's Jimmy?
I mean, that's not my real name. That's not a lie. That's not like part of it.
Yeah.
If that's
just stating a fact.
If that's the name everybody knows you by, has it become your real name?
I mean, I guess, but I mean, my ID says Peter Pizzarelli.
That's because you wanted it at Chuck E. Cheese.
They were out of spaghetti.
They're ahead of Sally Spaghetti.
Man, I feel bad, homies. I didn't realize what chat this was.
No, you're good.
No,
You're
it's
good,
all
man.
good. No, this is good.
I just hit Control B and it just put me in the chat with the people in.
Hey, no, that
Oh,
works
you're
out.
good, man.
You gotta join in. We gotta talk about your real name.
Yeah, spaghetti.
Yeah, spaghetti.
Yeah.
Actually, fun fact: I have a speech impediment, and it's obvious, but I try so hard to emphasize, like, to make sure it doesn't happen a lot. Like, words with th sounds are the hardest things for me to do. If you ever hear me say the word mother, father, brother, sister, well, sister doesn't count, but like I always emphasize that, like, that break in those words.
You give yourself a little room.
I have to. Like, the word other was always when I would always, instead of saying other, it was utter.
And which is a different word, like
Yeah.
utter. Like, yeah.
Like, I remember in speech class, they were always like, say this word. That's ghost. Like, oh, okay, you can say that. Okay, say this word. Brother? Oh, okay, so it's like in the middle of words where it gives you issues. Like, yeah.
Plus, I'm sure the Kentucky accent, like growing up hearing that as like your example for speech, probably didn't like help very much because we cut like the end off of words, or we'll squish the beginning of a word together with the middle and just do all kinds of stuff.
I think because of the speech classes I had growing up, when I went out of states, out of the country to Australia, I was asking for directions, and they were just like, "Oh yeah, it's by the blah blah blah," and I'm like, "I don't know where that's at," and they're like, "Wait, you're not from here?" I'm like, "No."
I'm from way far away from here.
I feel like every single time I tell somebody I'm from Kentucky, they're always like, "That's why you say y'all." It's not because of your accent or anything of that. It's just you said y'all like 3 sentences ago, and I immediately thought you were from the South. And it's like, well, we're not really the South, but some people really want to be the South, and they're like, you're the South, and I'm like, okay, shit.
Low key, I hate the word y'all. I always try my best to say you all as much as possible. I hate the word y'all so much.
I like y'all. I think because the reason I like it is because Spanish, at least like Castilian Spanish or whatever, has a word for y'all, and it's like a pluralization of a group of people that doesn't include you. And I wish English had a word for that, and y'all is that word, so that's why I use it.
That's fair.
I don't know if you guys notice this. I'm going to interrupt you, Bancroft, but anytime there's somebody new at the shop, I start talking a little bit more proper. And then like 2 weeks later, that's when I start dropping the y'all bombs.
Like, the Y word.
Like I don't know if you guys notice this. I tend to try to present myself a little bit nicer than I really am when somebody comes in, and then like 2 weeks later, I'm like, that's when I'm like letting loose again. And we had a cycle of getting new players, so for a little while I felt a little too prim and proper, and I had to Dougie up a little bit.
They're from Kentucky as well. Like, I don't.
Yeah, so so it's like I still want to like present ourselves as like not like sister fuckers. Like,
speaking of presenting ourselves,
That's a meme.
Would you like to explain your judge testing, or should we not talk about that?
oh, when I got made fun of. I won't say too much, but when I did my judge testing, I told them I was from Kentucky, and then they started making fun of me, saying that I like horses and bourbon, which I do like bourbon, not so much the horses. I think I'm allergic to horses. I don't think so. I might be. Just every time I've been around a horse, I've gotten like really sick.
You're allergic to dog hair, though, so I think it's just.
I am. Well, specifically Bancroft's dogs.
A lot of people that are allergic to dogs or cats are allergic to horses too.
I'm not allergic to cats. I mean,
are you?
Sort of. No, I got 2 cats.
Okay.
I mean, sometimes like I'll put my face in it, and then I'll get like kind of like itchy. Yeah, a little bit itchy. But then like Bancroft's dogs come around, and it's just like I've gotten fumigated. It's like I need to be put on a respirator.
You
see, like mainline and Benadryl.
You stayed the night before. Was it
Gen Con? It was Gen Con, and Bancroft knows that I am like horrifically allergic to his dogs, and we're setting and testing, and Bancroft goes, "Wait, you're really allergic," and like my eyes are all puffy. I'm like barely breathing, and I'm like tearing up, like I'm like my face is like tears are rolling down my eyes, and like snot's going everywhere. And he's like, "Damn, you really are allergic," and I'm like, "Yeah." And then you got me like some allergy stuff, and it's like I started clearing up a little bit. But then we were like, okay, it's bedtime. We gotta get up in the early in the morning to go to Gen Con. And I go upstairs to Bancroft's couch, completely like an inch of dog hair on it. And then he goes, "Here, bitch," and then throws a blanket at me that his dogs have been laying on. And I had to use this dog hair blanket all night, and I just couldn't breathe the entire night. And I woke up the next morning gasping for air.
It was a clean blanket. Don't.
It,
The couch was covered.
Blanket was clean.
The couch was covered. I get that, but it was a clean blanket I gave you.
Okay, fair enough.
That's the thing.
I will say when my brother's family moves out, I am going to turn one of those rooms upstairs to a guest room and leave that door shut entirely, so the dogs can never go in there. So when people do have to stay at night, there's a place where it's like the holy ground in a sense.
Well, I can't wait to go to Bancroft's and not die trying to sleep.
When's the next big event we're testing for?
Yeah, I was looking around. I don't really see very many non-finals regionals for the rest of the year.
There's some Zenkai stuff coming up that's web, I think. It's a PPG one, I think.
There's an online event here. They actually sent me a message today. Let me look. There is an online event in Canada for Carta Magica. They're having an online event tomorrow on Sunday. I mean, it'll have already happened probably by the time this video is out, but
or already started, yeah.
Yeah, but that is a thing that's happening today.
Have we discussed the format for these Zenkai Celebrations events?
I think we've seen enough on the Facebook group.
Oh,
sure,
yeah.
Sure. Let's talk about that, Jimmy.
This is actually a really good topic.
Yeah, so very interesting format. I think the way Bandai presented it on the DBS TCG site was a little lacking some very important information. Where a lot of people thought that you was pretty much like they've done this for most of the big pre-release events or whatever, where you could only run cards from the current set or the Zenkai block, that being one set, or whatever the block was previously. But as further information come out, you only have to have 15 of your main deck cards to be from the Zenkai block, meaning it has to have the one in the corner of the card, which is just an easy way of telling if the card is viable for that. And that is not counting your leader. Your leader card does have to be from the Zenkai block. So it is limiting the leaders, but we have some pretty decent leaders this set.
And that's 15 total cards out of the 50 to 60 cards. That's not like 15 unique cards.
Yes, you just have to have 15 cards of that to be your to be in your deck. And if I remember correctly, that does include your Z deck. So you have at least 7 cards that are Zenkai, because there's no cards outside of the Zenkai block that are viable or are allowed in the Z deck.
So if you're playing SS4 Gogeta, you just need to play 10 other cards that aren't from the Zenkai set?
Yeah, I mean, your entire deck is from that pretty much. So you can still run your classic negates. You can still run your D-Magics, your Violent Rays, the super combos that you want to choose. And I think that also allows for cards that were printed in the starter decks as well. I don't know if those have the one printed on them. I could be completely wrong about that.
I don't feel like walking over to find out, but
yeah. But I think it's kind of a cool format. It kind of forces you to play some of the new stuff without saying you can only play the new stuff. So you still get some creativity with the decks, even though it does limit the leaders.
I kind of like that. I like that a lot better than I remember back when set 10 came out. We had just Unison Warrior format, and there was only one set in Unison Warrior.
We had
that was not very much fun.
What was it? 4 Ginyus, 2 Pilafs. Because I played Pilaf, and then like we had 4 people playing. I think it was Fluff. I know Jake. Were you playing Ginyu?
Yeah, I played Ginyu. Jimmy played Ginyu.
I played Ginyu.
Yeah, I played Pilaf. I think Matt brought Pilaf.
Yeah, Trevor played Ginyu as well. There were 4 Ginyu players.
It was really just those 2 decks. And I think the way they're doing it now is so much better. Like, look, we understand these cards are good. You need these cards. But come on, add some of these. Just enough.
And honestly, I think Zenkai is strong enough of a set, and people are interested enough to play the new cards that they didn't necessarily have to do that.
Most of the, like, when it comes to archetypes, and we talked about this when we were doing our kind of recaps of when they were revealing them, most of these archetypes are pretty solid. Yes, we understand that there's the select few that just outshine, but every archetype has enough cards to make it viable and go with the leader and what that leader's meant to do.
Yeah, I was really surprised. Like, I think you talked about earlier, I played Bardock this last weekend. I was really surprised with how well that deck just runs overall. Just not even including like tech pieces from outside of the set.
Especially when your opponent doesn't see super combos.
Sounds nice.
Yeah, that was really fun.
Yeah, I mean,
any deck's good when your opponent's deck is bad.
Yeah. Do we want to? Actually, Jimmy, I was going to say after you finish your point, do we want to segue into like the off-camera games from locals?
Yeah, we could do that. But I want to add to doing these kind of forced formats like the Zenkai tournaments that are coming up. I think this is a great way to force people to be a little bit more creative with their deck building, because I think this is when the most creative players are going to like come out and make something cool. Even though it is only 15 cards, I would like to see something maybe like 30 cards in the deck have to be from this. And then those 10 cards, that comes down to the most creative players of what is your best tech to go along with this. I think any format that forces your opponent to change the way they build their deck is going to be very interesting in both what tops and also for the future of the game, because there might be some tech that comes out of this that's, huge. So I'm really excited to see this, even though I know a lot of people kind of lost their minds at it at first due to Bandai's poor wording on the website, but it got cleared up on Facebook.
It was everywhere on Facebook.
Yeah. Well, so let me get this straight. Your main deck only has to your leader has to be from Zenkai.
Yes.
And then your main deck has to include at least 15 cards from Zenkai?
Yes.
Now, is that 15 card names or 15 copies of cards?
15 copies.
Okay.
That does include your Z deck. And there's a list of legal leaders. I think it's all the stuff from Zenkai. There might be some other stuff in there that I'm just completely forgetting.
It's the starter deck leaders too, I think.
Yeah. So there is a list of leaders. I have not looked at the list of leaders because I already have the deck that I'm going to play, so I'm just not worried about it. And I know it's legal because it's a Zenkai leader and Zenkai cards. So maybe we should do our fact checking before we talk out of our asses here. But I'm just gonna pull the old AOP strat of saying something and then
we've never done that before.
Yeah, I'm just gonna do the AOP strat of just saying something and just sticking to my guns no matter what.
Yeah, and
I call that the Fox News strat.
I mean, you can always do the AOP strat where you play cards in your deck you're not supposed to play and just see how far you get away with it. That's only happened once. Only
once. Bancroft, tell that story.
We've heard a story. Speaking
of...
So yeah, talk about the off games real quick. Off-camera games. Me and Jake did get to play. And that was interesting. I was excited for it until I drew every tech piece for my deck and no super combos the entire game. That was fun.
Yeah, that what's really weird about that game looking back on it is you saw no super combos the whole game and I saw one.
Really?
So over the course of the game, both of us drawing, like you were on Turtle School and I was on Bardock. Like we drew the majority of our decks, and I think the game went all the way to turn 5.
Yeah.
And one super combo was used in the entire game.
Yep. The my opening hand in that match, I put all 6 cards back. So I'm looking for either the unison. I'm looking for a unison pretty much. So I want to be able to establish that. That way I can start using the freezes, dormants without having to worry about my energy because you're playing yellow. So I'm okay. But I'm okay with tapping out against yellow and still being okay. And when I put all 6 cards back, and I got 6 new cards. I had 2 black cards. I had both my Pan Seeker Rare and the new Broly Overrealm card. I had a Champa. I want to say I had a Dormant. And then the Pan and something else. And then I charged one of those and I put the Champa back in my deck and played a Krillin afterwards. I was just like, this is so garbage.
Yeah, that's rough. I think I started with Pan in hand as well, and mostly just mulliganed everything else for 1-drops. That game was really interesting because you were taking in Focused Breakthrough, and it made me have to play the game in a really odd position because the majority of my apes cost 3. And if I go to play 2 apes off of Bardock and you focus breakthrough the cards coming in, you get a 2-for-1 for 1 energy because both of those are going to go to the drop area. So I really had to like extend the game by just like poking with a card that wasn't very impactful to swing with and seeing if he like opted to play Dormant or not. And if he did, I would just swing lead and combo a card to get it in the Z energy and spend the rest of my energy drawing cards.
Which is what you really should do when your opponent plays draw. If you're not playing a deck that could do double strikes, crits, or anything like super crazy like that, just expend your turn's resources benefiting your later turns instead of just trying to vomit cards and hope you get a good attack next turn. Speaking of off-camera matches, you guys played off-camera.
Oh, we sure did.
Yeah, and I paid for the good fortune that I got for you drawing those super combos because I went up against Red Sin Shenron and couldn't draw a negate.
Yeah.
It's funny we're on this draw topic because my opening hand might have been one of the worst possible opening hands for Sin Shenron. And I've never played against Bardock before, so I kind of knew what it could do, but I was really, really worried about the deck just popping off and killing me. So any Sin players listening to this, you would know how awful it feels to open with 3 of your Testing the Ops, 2 Dread Destroyers, and then your Secret Rare. In my case, it's Heroine's Lineage because I just don't have an SSB Vegeta. And plus, I never get to turn 4 to really play it. And it feels even worse that your first 2 draws is another Dread Destroyer and another Testing the Op.
Yeah,
that just felt awful, and I had to play the game very differently than I normally would.
You had a Bancroft hand?
I had a Bancroft hand, yeah.
Once you revealed that, like, once I realized that there had been 3 balls in your life, I was like, okay, at this stage, this is my game to lose. And then I get attacked down to like 3 or 4 life when I'm still at 1 energy. And I ended up just awake. You just forced me to awaken and literally just ate my entire like lower half of my body while I watched. Like, I think it's good for me that I'm like having to talk about this game again because I was pretty tilted afterwards. Like, I don't really know how a deck really competes with Red Sin, like as far as the aggression goes. And I think the problem isn't necessarily Sin itself, but me as a person. I can't necessarily I'm not a good enough player yet to wrap my head around the meta of what to do and what to combo out of and attack out of in those kind of situations. I felt like I played it as good as I could, and really that's just because I'm really used to playing yellow decks. But overall, I feel like I'm just not at a place yet where I can combat that deck.
We talked about it at the shop. What makes this block so different is that before it's like, okay, cool, I see that leader, I know what color it is, I know what to expect from this deck and what to expect from this color. But now you've got to go into the factor, okay, I got to figure out the Z deck now. What can that do? Do I have all the new cards effects? So like, and we've had it's been a month now, 4 weeks, I think. And
3 or 4, yeah.
Just making sure you know every card. And granted, we're seeing a lot of Sin, we're seeing a lot of Gogeta right now, at least at our locals. And I will never forget that 8-drop is triple strike. Or yeah, triple strike, not double strike. So from here on out, I know to be safe when I go down to 3 life. If I go down to 3 life, I'm in a danger zone against Sin now, and it's got to kind of prepare for that stuff.
Yeah, to me it wasn't really like matchup knowledge or like card knowledge that really got me, but what I have noticed in this format is really small micro mistakes end up getting punished really heavily in like kind of subtle ways. So like in my game with Jimi, when I was comboing out of an attack earlier in the game, I comboed away my Borgos 1-drop and sent it to the Z energy, right? Just to like get more Z energy to hopefully Z awaken defensively and get a little boost. The problem with that is that Borgos is a counterplay. Like it's not like a super impactful counterplay, but had I kept that Borgos in my hand and not spent any of my own energy on turn 1, when he goes to play the rush attack Vegeta, I just tap 1 and play Borgos, and the auto switches it to rest. And sure, he gets like the double strike attack because it like comes back to active or whatever, but I still get to draw a card. I get to mitigate some of the damage, and then I can combo that Borgos off later to help get out of a double strike attack. But all of that kind of got disabled when I made the small mistake of comboing it instead of another 5k combo card in my hand. And I feel like in other formats you would have got away with stuff like that, but where we are right now, like the margins of error are just razor thin, and I think that's part of the frustration we're seeing in a lot of players. Like I know at least this week at our locals, after every round there were people visibly upset about how their game went, myself included.
Yeah, I would like to quote 2 of our players. I'm going to call them out, Aaron and Chase. We were having this conversation, very similar conversation at the end of our shop tournament for while everybody was packing up. And Chase said something that I thought was really good, is that this set and this format is more of a skill check than we've ever had in the game before. That the red decks are beatable. We have seen this. It has been proven. They are very strong. They are hard to beat, but they are beatable. And you're going to beat them by pure skill. You're gonna have to, and that's going back to what Jake is saying, is that you are being punished for making small mistakes. And once you build that skill, these decks become much more manageable and beatable. And once those cracks form, red players are just going to start hammering that crack, and they're going to go through that path to kill you. And you just have to not let your guard down. You don't let any cracks. This is a very skill intensive format. And that's not a diss to any player that is losing to red or struggling against red or any other deck in this format. It's just a thing. If it's a new format, everybody's learning. That you just need to keep grinding, keep getting better, and eventually I feel like this is going to be one of those things where we look back on it and be like, wow, can you believe that shit was playable? You know, not maybe not that far, but we will look back on this and be like, okay, maybe we were wrong about this entire format.
I think that's possible, but yeah, it's weird to be in an aggro matchup and immediately after you charge an energy, you have to think about turn 4 or turn 3 before you spend a single energy in a game against one of these red decks. You immediately have to do like 2 or 3 notebook pages of math, at least I do, to try and figure out how to navigate the game. And like I was saying before, I'm just not good enough yet to be able to do that. And that's okay.
Like it's a not to repeat myself, but it is a very skill intensive format. It's a new format. It's almost a new game completely at this point. It's the same basics, it's the same characters, it's the same type of cards. But this is a brand new game. This is a new game that we're all learning at this time. The Z deck, while some of the cards have not made a massive impact, it's really changed the way the game flows. With having a guaranteed resource that you can always tap into, it is game changing. And everybody just needs to learn the new format, learn how things flow, and eventually this is going to become normal and it's not going to be wild. Like it's almost like the Wild West now because there's just so much going on. There's so many things that are like hitting you from left and right, with one big bad being the red decks. And I think eventually we're going to see cracks in the red decks, and there's going to be other decks that are going to excel above those. Just once people figure out this format, because it is still a very fresh format, even though, what has it been? You say 4 weeks?
I think it's 4 weeks, yeah.
Yeah, and people have been testing with these cards well before. I think once the format gets figured out and settles down, I think this is going to be a very strong and healthy format and meta, especially with the new cards coming out next set. I think that we're going to see a lot of colors get a massive boost, maybe up to the par of like what red is right now.
That's dope.
Yeah, that's dope.
So with that being overall said, this is a little bit different. Like we said at the beginning of the video, a little bit different type of content. Like I said, we did a little of the talk about the game, we'll shoot the shit. If you guys enjoy it, let us know. And gonna put it out there. Jimmy is not aware of this. I'm about to probably hear some like bullshit from him in a second.
Oh, guaranteed.
So me and Jake have been playing a lot of Omega Strikers lately, and I'll actually be putting stuff like that on my personal YouTube channel. If you want to check that out, go there. If you enjoy our personalities, we'll be playing a lot of games there or doing other types of videos there that's not Dragon Ball Super related, because we're trying to make sure, keep it where it needs to be. Yeah. So with that being said, I want to go back doing streams because Jimmy mentioned testing. We did do a lot of that early on. I tried doing it on Thursday nights with AOP. Got a little bit harder to do that after a while. But I'll probably be doing a lot more streams on Twitch with the Bancroft account. Just my stuff. And if I can bring back the AOP Thursday nights, I'll be doing that. So I think that's it. Anything you guys want to talk about before we go out?
10 likes and Bancroft is going to review the Walmart butt plug.
After you give me a essay on how it was, right?
I mean, no, it's 10 likes and then you try it.
Oh,
you have to, yeah. You have to give the review.
Oh, okay.
And if it's a sparkling review,
Bancroft doesn't smoke. Why would he need a cigarette butt plug? Anyway, guys, yeah, check out Bancroft. What's the name of your personal channel? Do you have a name for it yet?
It's just Bancroft. It'll be down below in the link.
Yeah, so look below in the stuff down there. Yeah, I'm really excited, looking forward to that, and looking forward to playing more Dragon Ball and more Omega Strikers.
Before we close out, Jimmy, I want you to do a shout out. So later this week, it'll be probably our second match we put on camera. It's Sin versus PyCon. We'll talk more about it on the actual video, but there's gonna be a custom mat on there. Do you want to talk about that real quick? And I'll put the information down below as well in the video.
Yes, sir. So when you watch the video, it is the lovely Android 21 mat. That was done by the ever lovely Laura Lee. You can find her at atiny.bunny on Instagram. She has commissions open, so hit her up if you would like a custom mat. Pretty much anything's on the table. You can hit her up and discuss anything like that with her.
Awesome.
And check out our OnlyFans.
Yeah, you guys really have not been paying very much attention to our OnlyFans, and it makes us sad. Jimmy spends so much money on baby oil.
I need to double check that account, don't I now?
I mean, it's your mistake giving me the login info.
Yeah. Hey, Jake.
What's up?
Lead us out.
Oh, I don't know. We didn't really read any cards, but I guess you guys should. We've talked a little bit about knowing your plays. You could watch us play video games and other stuff on Bancroft's other channel. Let us make the mistakes so you don't have to, and fluff out.